All right, everybody, I am here with Cryptorich, and I'll be calling you Rich for this episode. Cryptorich, you guys remember him from many episodes that we've done together to talk about cryptocurrency, and we have a very special guest. It is Dan Edlebeck. He is with Sentinel.co, which is a decentralized VPN. Guys, thank you for joining me on this program. Rich, let's start with you because you've been following the Sentinel project very closely, and then we're going to pass it off to Dan so Dan can talk to us about Sentinel, about crypto, about decentralized cryptocurrencies, and most importantly, about a decentralized VPN to protect people's privacy and to give people freedom to surf the internet without worrying about the large surveillance state, the deep state, big brother watching your every move. So this is a fascinating project. It's a fascinating business. But first, let's go to you, Rich, so you can give us an overview as to what's going on, and then we'll pass it over to Dan. Rich, the floor is yours.
Hi, Alex. Thank you so much for having me on your channel. Really, really appreciate being here. And for anybody who doesn't know, right, you're gonna know I'm one of the biggest fans of the whole Duran channel and their news analysis. I learned about Sentinel.co via Pirate Chain, because Sentinel was one of the founder members of the Blockchain Privacy, Security and Adoption Alliance, which is a group of now 9 projects that collaborate in order to promote privacy and security on the blockchain. And I think it was maybe January or February 2020 that I got interested in it. I've always been interested in using a VPN. I use a VPN currently. And I just think privacy is critical, because without privacy, there's no freedom, there's no creativity, we're all being watched, we're vulnerable to malicious actors hacking into our information, taking our data. Plus, from a practical point of view, I think in 2019, when I was last in Pakistan, I couldn't use Telegram because it's banned in Pakistan. And how am I going to get in touch with all the cryptocurrency projects that I'm using? Luckily, I was using a VPN. So then the VPN allowed me to message other projects via Telegram. But the VPNs that are out there are all centralized. And there's just like we have a problem with centralized money, centralized bank money, that it's controlled by somebody else. We're vulnerable to their whims and peccadillos. We don't own it or anything. We don't have any say. They can print more when they want, which is what they're doing. So we lose the value of what we have. And then Bitcoin upends that with its decentralized notion, peer-to-peer, censorship-resistant financial exchange that can't be printed away out of existence. What Sentinel have set up, and by the way, anybody who has Android, it's free. It's free. You just download it onto your Android phone. I'm using it on my Android phone. It's free. And if you want to know what the catch is that it's free. That's the catch right now. There you go. So it's a decentralized VPN, which means it doesn't have the single point of failure, because a centralized VPN can be captured by regulation. It can be hacked. We don't know what's going on in the background. There's a risk because somebody else has access to our data. It's like if I give the keys to my house to somebody else. I don't know what they're going to do with it. They may come in when I'm not around or something and start snooping around. I have no idea. They give the keys away to somebody else. So that's the risk of a centralized VPN. And what Sentinel is setting up is a decentralized VPN. And the whole point of a VPN is to protect data, so that, nobody can spy on what's going in and out of my computer and what's coming in and stuff. So we're free. So that's what, and I just think Sentinel's great. I cover it loads on my channel, by the way. You can find me on ODYSEE, BitTube.tv, BitTube.video, and YouTube. I'd rather you went to one of the censorship-resistant platforms. The links will be in the description below. Thank you. I cover it loads. Dan doesn't know that I've today recorded another video on Sentinel, which will be out in the next few days or so, right? And there's passive income opportunities with this, but I've said enough. Over to you, Dan. Or back to you, Alex. You're the MC.
Dan, talk to us about Sentinel. Rich gave us a good overview. Sentinel, by the way, it is a dVPN, Sentinel. The website is Sentinel, once again, sentinel.co. Dan, I'm going to put all the information in the video description box underneath. The floor is yours. Tell us about Sentinel. Tell us about decentralized VPNs. Very interesting stuff.
Awesome. Well, thanks again, first, Alex, for having us on your channel. Like Rich said, I think you guys are bringing really critical information and breaking down content and kicking out all the fluff and the BS and really looking at the world as we see it. And I think that that's so valuable, especially in our day and age with a lot of censorship and, everyone kind of walking on eggshells because we're afraid to actually say things as we are. And that's something I'm really passionate about. And that's why I'm leading, help contributing towards the Sentinel. So Exidio is a software development company, and we're building tooling for decentralized networks. And one of the decentralized networks that we're helping build out is the Sentinel Network. And so Rich really hit it on the head. Sentinel is a marketplace where people can offer their bandwidth to the network, and people can route their traffic through the people's IP addresses that they're offering the bandwidth to the network. So Alex, for example, if you want to connect to a VPN and you want to route your traffic through a different IP address, instead of using a centralized company like NordVPN or ExpressVPN, you can use the Sentinel Network. And the Sentinel Network is a peer-to-peer network. Just like you can monetize your house and put it up on Airbnb and rent that out and generate passive income, because it's an asset that's a scarce asset that you hold and you can leverage, your bandwidth is a scarce asset. And so using your residential bandwidth, you can offer that to the network. People can route that traffic through that node, and now they're offering bandwidth from a peer-to-peer fashion. And even though I'm the CEO of Exidio, the software company that's helping build on these protocols, I myself could not shut down the Sentinel Network. So it is a truly censorship-resistant network. It's a resilient network that as long as there are people that are offering bandwidth to the network, and as long as those people that are offering bandwidth continue to post and communicate with the blockchain, and that's what happens is, for example, Alex, if you're putting your IP address onto the network to offer people to route their traffic through your IP address, that data about your IP address, it's actually the actual IP, the IP address, the bandwidth, the latency, your uptime, those details of your node are posted to the blockchain. And then the front-end applications, like the one Rich is talking about on Android, they're just calling the blockchain via API to get that information. So the architecture of the network is truly peer-to-peer, and there's no company behind it that can stop it or shut it down. As long as the blockchain stays active, with the design of our blockchain, it's highly unlikely that would ever happen. As long as there's people validating the network, which is more technical, but essentially as long as the blockchain stays active, the network stays live, and everyone is able to route traffic through individual nodes. So it's the same benefits you would get out of a VPN, and the two main benefits are getting privacy online and being able to route your traffic through a different IP address so your internet service provider or other agencies aren't able to snoop and monitor your traffic and resell it. So privacy, and then the other benefit, as Rich talked about, is access to content. So when he was in Pakistan, he couldn't get on Telegram. If you're in Vietnam, you can't get on Medium.com to read any blog. If you're in China and you have to pass by the Great Firewall, there's people around the world. We kind of, I feel like put a big focus on China, but there's censorship all around the world. And with the power of a VPN and being able to access IP addresses around the world, you're able to get access to content and information, which I believe is a human right. And we should all have the access to freedom and information.
Amen. Amen to that. Can I ask you a simple question, Dan? If you don't want to give, say you're a newbie to all of the crypto blockchain stuff, but you are interested in using a VPN, and the decentralized VPN sounds very attractive. Can you just hop on to Sentinel and just use Sentinel as a user without having to give bandwidth or having to understand anything about blockchain or cryptocurrency?
Yes, absolutely. So if you want to offer bandwidth to the network and generate passive income, you can do that. But if you're just a normal consumer and you want to be able to have access to a VPN, that's just completely separate. And you can use the front-end applications that connect to the Sentinel network. So my company, Exidio, we've built an application, and Rich mentioned that it's on Android and it's also on iOS. But we're developing and overhauling those applications for mobile, and then we're developing a new desktop application, and that's from Exidio. But this network is truly a peer-to-peer network, and then companies can build their own VPN applications on this peer-to-peer network. So my company, Exidio, is building some of the front-end applications. There's another company called the Elysium Group, and Elysium built a different application called the Velocity VPN that ties to the network. And we're building out this network on a native Sentinel blockchain which you're probably familiar with Ethereum. It was previously built on Ethereum, and now it's moving on to its own native blockchain. And with that transition, it will transition to a more normal service. So it'll no longer be a free service. It'll be a paid VPN like any other paid VPN. But there's no company behind it. There's no one that can control your data. And it's provably end-to-end encrypted. And when you pay for your data, you're not paying it to a company. You're paying it directly to the node hosts that are offering the bandwidth. So if you offer bandwidth, you monetize that. And if you're routing your traffic through that, you're paying it directly to the users on the network that are offering the bandwidth.
And is that paid via the dVPN, or how does someone pay for that access?
Yeah, so no, you can pay with any payment means you want for these new applications that are coming out. So you can pay with credit card, or you can pay with Stripe or online payment methods. But then the node hosts that are offering bandwidth receive that value in the dVPN token. So whatever currency is used to purchase the bandwidth, that is converted to dVPN, and the end user actually will see the dVPN balance in their account, and that actually pays the nodes that offer the bandwidth.
Got it.
But it's really a product made for mainstream adoption. The cryptocurrency space is really exciting, and there's a lot of things happening, but in reality, it's a niche of the world, right? But VPN is not a niche product. It's becoming massively adopted, not just in China. It's a massively adopted product across the planet. The industry itself, I think, was under 15 billion 4 years ago, and it's eclipsed 30 billion, and it's expected to eclipse over 107 billion within the next 6 years. So it's a massively growing industry. It's a product that we all demand, and especially at times now with COVID and going remote. People need secure and private connections online.
Alex, can I add something to what Dan has said? So as somebody who's been using the Android application, it's completely anonymous. There's no sign up or anything. I just downloaded it from the Google Play Store and I click it and it runs. The desktop application, I don't know what the new one's going to be like, but imagine it's going to be similarly easy to use. And the application has an inbuilt wallet. So if I'm new to crypto, and I'm offering node, well, now I've learned a little bit. If I'm offering bandwidth, I've learned enough, right, that I can offer bandwidth. And then what I'm going to just see is these numbers going up that'll represent, I could think of it, I suppose, as supermarket vouchers. People are familiar with those, but the value of those will go up. So it is designed to be incredibly user-friendly, and the Android app is user-friendly.
Yeah, I think it's incredible, this what you're doing with a decentralized VPN, because, and I want your take on this, Dan and Rich. We're at a stage right now where we're dealing with decentralized finance, and I think that's, let's say 95, maybe even 99% of what people know about blockchain and crypto is pretty much decentralized finance. But there's a whole nother world that's opening up, and we've seen it open up, say, with NFTs. We're starting to see some social media projects kicking, but we're way in the beginning. Maybe you could say like something like Library or ODYSEE is something that's more advanced when it comes to social media, blockchain, social media, crypto. But what you're doing is, you're really taking it to the next step, and I think you're showing the true power of blockchain with decentralization. This is why the surveillance state, the elites, the globalists, the powers that be are so damn scared of blockchain and decentralization, because what you guys are doing by creating and working with a decentralized VPN is, you're busting up their control of the internet. And we've seen over, say, the past couple of years, how much control they truly have of the internet, of free speech, of sharing, of surfing the web, of serving you ads and manipulating your data and selling your private data. You guys are doing something that is that must really scare the hell out of them.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think that this is a trend right within the web. Initially, the web was really decentralized. It was, people were spinning up websites. It was really a read-only web. It wasn't an interactive web, but it was a kind of a chaotic web, right? It was the wild, wild west of our early days connecting online. And it was meant to be it was meant to be a decentralized open space where we could share content. But, you know, consumers, when we went for global adoption, and this is the internet is the biggest boom of global adoption of anything that we've ever seen in humanity. And in doing that, it's been amazing. It's opened up a lot of opportunities, but it's also made for us to preference convenience over sovereignty, right? And so we're going to just click through whatever the disclaimer is and sign up for Facebook. We're going to click through other disclaimer is and sign up for whatever is the most convenient email service. Or, oh, everyone else is using this app, I must use this app. And the network effects only exacerbated that. And so I call them our digital overlords. Amazon, Netflix, Microsoft, Google, Apple, Facebook. Those corporations, those 6 corporations account for a massive amount of the entire connections and usage on the internet globally. And actually, to be able to have this stream, oftentimes servers running by centralized companies, and it could be Microsoft Azure, it could be Amazon Web Services. And so this is kind of the basic core infrastructure of the web. And so what we're building is from Web 1.0, which was more of a static internet, but it was decentralized, to a more interactive, better feature-rich experience, and being able to build the sharing economy like Uber or Airbnb, and like Web 2.0, and betting a better user experience at the cost of sovereignty and independence online. And now with open source protocols, we're flipping that again, and we're able to get the benefits of being able to have direct communication, being able to monetize our own resources, but being able to do it in open source protocols where there's no rent seekers and there's no one company in the middle that can shut you off of Facebook if they don't like the content that you're sharing. So we're moving towards a more permissionless and globally accessible web. I'm really excited about it, and what we're doing with Sentinel is doing that at the bandwidth layer, at the network layer, right? There's another project in the Cosmos, which is another really interesting blockchain within that ecosystem called Akash. And Akash is doing that, combating with AWS and Microsoft Azure as the Google Cloud, as the cloud providing and cloud hosting services. The people are doing that with storage. There's Storage Coin or Sia Coin. There's projects that are offering decentralized service or storage so that you can offer a part of the storage on your home connection, Alex, and monetize that. So we're kind of taking claim back to the web with open source protocols. It's really exciting. And we all kind of deem this as part of the Web 3.0 stack.
Yeah. Rich, what do you make of that? Because I know you're involved with a lot of projects which deal with privacy and giving power, say for lack of a better word, giving power back to the users, back to the people. I always tell people things may look grim now, you know, with like you said, the overlords, Dan, things may look grim, and we may be hearing a lot of media reports about this person's been deplatformed and this person's been shut down and your data's been given to this government agencies. But I always tell people it's going to take time, but take heart, because there are companies like Dan's which are working to turn things back to the way they were originally meant to be when the web first surfaced. What do you make of this, Rich?
Well, I would take it back further or deeper. You know, as a social worker, I'd actually say it's human nature for us to be sovereign, to have autonomy. You know, even simple things that I should have the autonomy to sit in this room or to meet with this person. You know, that I should have the autonomy to meet with my mother-in-law and take my children to go and see her. And I think any sort of centralized global structure which takes away people's autonomy is antithetical to human nature and is going to fail. Because why on earth should we put up with something that goes against with our evolutionary, biological, ontological, psychological design? The notion, you know, like what was happening in lockdown, that my wife and I couldn't work out between ourselves as a family whether it was okay to go and visit my kids' grandparents because the government said no. Well, who's the government to tell me how I can negotiate relationships, consensual relationships within a family network? So whenever there's been any sort of exertion of centralized control, it has been to the disadvantage of those that have been controlled. And the only difference, say, between me and these Dave, I'm wary of getting too political a little bit, but I'm going to go for it, right? Of Klaus Schwab and the Davos Group and all of that, right? The only difference is their access to resources. That's it. Otherwise, we're all human beings. They just are able to exert greater control over greater resources and suppress my autonomy, your autonomy, Dan's autonomy, our freedom of speech. That no, that, Alex, don't say that. Don't say that. You'll get deplatformed. Right? You can't say that. That's not allowed. Who the hell is anybody to say that? That, I can't share information. People can't share information freely. Now, I might talk nonsense, and I frequently do, in which case, don't listen to me. You're smart enough to work it out. Go listen to somebody else. Listen to Alex and Dan. So I think it's natural for human beings to resist, and then human beings are essentially creative. We will always come up with solutions. We always have. People came up with all sorts of solutions during the Second World War, where you had Gentiles giving refuge to Jews because although the Gentiles themselves weren't going to be persecuted, but they were like, no, this will not stand. I will risk my life in order to protect these other human beings. People will do that. So it's doomed to fail. And at a whole other tangent, I think it is failing. And a little plug, I got an interview with Christoforou, who is the CEO of Akash on my channel, so people should go check that out.
Definitely check it out. Well said, Rich. Dan, let me ask you an interesting question. You mentioned how the VPN market is exploding. It's a huge market. It really is a big market. I mean, I'm on YouTube a lot, and I'm seeing just about every other channel has some sort of VPN promotion. I think there's probably 3 big centralized VPN companies that the name keeps coming up and up. Do you think that the centralized web is leading to a fragmented global internet? And what do I mean by that? The centralization, the deplatforming, the control is causing a lot of countries, like you mentioned, China or Vietnam, to say, you know what? I'm going to block off a little bit of my internet access to this country or to this company because I need to protect, my sovereignty. Maybe I need to protect my people. Maybe I want to exert control over my people. And I don't like, for example, Google coming in and influencing them. So the centralization is leading to a geographical fragmentation. But do you think a VPN, a decentralized VPN, is going to be able to overcome all of that and connect people again together? You think it's going to become so common to have a VPN that eventually we'll all have some sort of VPN and we'll all move past A, the centralization, and B, the geographical fragmentation? Because you are seeing it with China. I'm seeing it with Russia, for example. Russia is starting to block off different sites, different social networks. How do you see things playing out, say, in the next five years, going maybe looking further?
Yeah, well, I mean, Rich hit it right on the head, right? Like, there's always going to be a human response when, like, someone their freedoms are being taken away from them. So, if I can't access Wikipedia and I can't access, or my Google results are skewed and I know that, I'm going to do something about that. I'm not just going to sit there and say, that sounds great. I like the new version of the internet that I have. Like, there's no way. So people are always going to find solutions, right? And it's always a cat and mouse game. But the things that Christoforou is doing at Akash is decentralizing cloud so that we can actually be able to have access to servers around the globe and not be deplatformed when AWS doesn't like the type of company you're running. We're doing the same in the VPN industry and being able to provide access to VPN, but not being reliant on centralized companies who then are at the end of the line instead of your internet service provider being at the end of the line. So yeah, I mean, I don't think that my perspective matters. I think that the numbers matter. The global adoption of VPN is growing at an exponential rate. So people are looking for solutions online. I'm on a VPN all the time. There's no way that I would, surf the web otherwise. It just doesn't make sense. So I think people are going to start to realize that there are tools at their disposal to help them get access to content, get better privacy online, and it's always going to be a cat and mouse game, right? Like, you could use Sentinel VPN, but if your internet service provider isn't able to even get you access to the VPN in the first place, to be able to download it, then, there's always going to be more workarounds. But, there's not like one silver bullet that's going to provide all the sovereignty and freedom for individuals online. We need to come together. We need to continue to build permissionless and unstoppable protocols. And we need to figure out how to make ourselves truly, resistant. And I think China is the most obvious country with the most extreme surveillance outside of something, like Syria or North Korea. But what we're trying to do is provide the most people on the planet with the most access and the most opportunity for privacy and for sovereignty online. And we're going to continue to build and provide protocols that grant that access. But of course, like the Sentinel Network isn't going to be a perfect answer that solves, privacy for everyone on the planet. But it's very valuable. Actually, in the Middle East, there were protesters that were using Sentinel VPN to be able to get connected online, to be able to share what was going on in a protest on Twitter in real time because they couldn't get access to sharing content otherwise. And there's an article about it in Al Jazeera. So these are real world use cases to people that are using this technology. And it's not just about crypto. It's about privacy and sovereignty online.
Yeah, well, I think one of the most shocking things is that the U.S. and much of the West is moving along the lines of censorship and taking away free speech and deplatforming people. That's the scary part, is that you're seeing countries that were championing free speech and human rights, which are moving in a completely different direction now. But you said something interesting. You said you never surf the web without a VPN. Why would you recommend that to someone? Like just a regular everyday person that's on the internet. Why would you say, you know what, Rich, you really should use a VPN because...
why would you want to give your data to your internet service provider? Like, you don't have to do that. It's just like, you could swim across a river or you could take the bridge. Like, it's there. It's a tool. Why don't we use it? There's no reason that your internet service provider should know your metadata, should have all your browsing history. They can be reselling that. They could be hacked. You potentially are exposing your personal information to companies that can hack that information, and then you have your identity, liable for being stolen. There's just a lot of privacy and security concerns that, it's such a basic tool that I don't understand why people wouldn't use it. And so, yeah. And then also, again, access to content. Fortunately, there isn't a lot of content that I'm not able to access. But that's not the case for a lot of people around the planet. So it's something that I think is just a basic tool that everyone should be using.
It's not the case in the UK. Because I'm very interested in the politics of what's going on right now. That's been sweeping the world since March 20, certainly the UK since March 2020. I go to BitChute. I want to watch a video, and then I'll get this notification. This video has been banned in your region because it promotes hatred or something, right? And then so what I do is I switch the servers from United Kingdom to Germany or the United States, and then I can see the video, and it's not a hate video. But the powers that be don't want people to know. It might be about a demonstration that's happened in Europe against the draconian vaccine passes, and they don't want people to see that in the UK. So they say, look, this is hate speech. What, people demonstrating for their freedom because they don't want to live in a medical apartheid society is hate speech. So that's one reason. On a less controversial reason, if I'm in Pakistan, I can't get access to BBC iPlayer. But if I use a VPN and connect to a UK server, then I can. And same deal with Netflix. But also, the other aspect is, you asked what's it going to be like in 5 years, Alex? I think people are going to be using VPNs like crazy much, much sooner. One is there already because of all the surveillance and the censorship that's going on. And as the word spreads that you can bypass that with VPNs, more and more people are going to find out. And I personally think from the stuff that I've been doing, a lot of people are going to get hurt by these injections as the flu season comes. A lot of people are going to start waking up to the harm that they're doing. And then more and more people are going to start looking for information online that isn't the mainstream narrative. I also think that the financial system is very, very rocky, very, very rocky. And then what you're going to have when it does collapse is you're going to have people using gold, silver, and cryptocurrencies. So you can have more and more people using cryptocurrencies, more and more people using wallets on their laptops, on their mobile phones, in which case you really got to use a VPN to protect your data. Because where the criminals are going to go is where the Bitcoin is. And the Bitcoin is going to be in somebody's software wallet on their computer, at least a little bit, if they're not using a hardware wallet. So I think that the collapse of the monetary system, the increasing censorship, is just going to result in much faster adoption. By the way, just remember, for me as a social worker, I have a laptop and I cannot get into my council database, the social work database, without the VPN. It just comes on automatically each time, whether I'm at home or I'm at work.
It's interesting. Fantastic. Dan, let's wrap it up. Let's do a final question. And I'd like you to let everybody know, what are the biggest challenges that you face with Sentinel, with the decentralized VPN, with the blockchain of blockchain and VPN? What are the challenges? What are the stumbling blocks right now that you're facing, or that you have to get past? Is it technical stuff? Is it marketing stuff? Adoption?
Actually, all three, it would be right on point. Those are all the things that I was thinking about. VPNs are not really encouraged in China. But individuals are using them everywhere. But how do you get that message out about the dangers of the VPNs they're currently using and the centralized nature of them, and how those, not only could the VPN company be logging your data and then they could be reselling it, but also the VPN companies are running servers like on AWS or Azure, and they're using these services, and these services will then, they get pinged as a VPN. So now their IP addresses from these servers that they're using are getting identified as VPNs, so they get blacklisted on certain websites. So now they're using a VPN to be able to route their traffic through a different IP address, to be able to get access to content they wouldn't otherwise, and then they still can't get access to that content because that IP address is being blacklisted. In a peer-to-peer network, using residential IP addresses, it's a far more resilient network, and these IP addresses are far less likely to get identified as VPN IP addresses, and it makes for the network to be far more resilient. But the marketing aspect is really big. How do we bring this product to market? How do we get more people educated about the challenges of using a centralized VPN versus the benefits of leveraging the Sentinel network? And how do we get this product in people's hands? So right now, the new apps that we're launching, they're going to be launching on iOS globally, but they are not launching yet on iOS in China. And so we're working on getting that application on the iOS store for Chinese consumers. So there's those technical challenges as well. But really, it's, we're a small team working hard with limited resources, and we're leveraging all the opportunities we can to share the message, to have people know about this product, and to bring it to market as quickly as possible, but making sure that it has the right user experience. Cryptorich has talked about the Android application, previously based on Ethereum, and how seamless that was. Overhauling these applications and putting them on a different network and transitioning the entire network over from Ethereum to the Sentinel network is a huge technical overhaul, and it takes a lot of work. So making sure that we get the products to market as quickly as possible, but also matching that user experience. We're never going to compete with NordVPN or ExpressVPN if we don't have the same user experience, regardless if it's a safer or more private connection online. At the end of the day, if this is for mass consumers, it needs to match what mass consumers are looking for in a product. So those are all the inherent challenges, but they're all ones that we're very confident we're able to take on. The Sentinel application is built on the Sentinel network. The one that Exidio is built on mobile, and then the one that Elysium's built, we've had over 400,000 downloads of applications across the globe. So we've seen significant adoption, and this is just the very precipice. Now we're moving on to our own, the network, onto the Sentinel blockchain, and being able to provide this into perpetuity, where the people are actually offering bandwidth or generating revenue. And so I don't know if you're familiar, Alex, with the Tor network, but it's very similar architecture to the Tor network, except you're incentivized, you earn revenue for offering bandwidth. So the Tor network was co-opted by government agencies because they took a lot of the exit nodes and participated in the network. And a lot of people, when they move or they transition, they don't continue to offer their bandwidth to the network. This is a network that's far more resilient because of the economic incentive involved. So I think the design architecture, I'm not going to take credit for it, was brilliant. It's made it really resilient. The Sentinel idea was incepted in 2017. The network launched in 2018, and 3.5 years later, it's only growing in adoption. So I'm really excited, but yeah, we still want to continue to promote the products, bring them to market, and make sure that people know about the benefits of using the.
All right, I got to do one more question, a two-parter before we go. I'm not going to let you go just yet. Something came to mind. Quick questions, technical questions, actually. The first one is, are you worried about, say, any type of government regulations or anything like that? Does that worry you, or does that worry the Sentinel Network? Because we hear a lot about government regulations cracking down on blockchains, this and that. And the second, and this question is very technical, but I think you can answer this pretty quickly. Why moving away from Ethereum and your own blockchain?
Sure.
Well, I'd like to answer that one. That's easy, because they don't want 100 million minute transaction times, paying millions and millions of dollars just to move a little bit of information. That's why.
Is it the gas fees?
Transaction time. Plus, I think the Cosmos architecture, the Tendermint architecture, is just smoother, faster, cheaper. You can do a whole lot more. It's very, very nice, very smooth. But Dan will know more about that bit. That's as
no, I mean, you're absolutely right, Rich. So if you're offering your bandwidth to the network, you're posting it to the blockchain. And then the people that are using the applications are looking at the blockchain and seeing what are the nodes available. So on our own blockchain, the blocks are produced every 6 seconds. So that information is consistently being updated. So you can actually see in real time what are the nodes. If there are blocks that are not being produced at a consistent rate on Ethereum, and also the cost associated with transacting on the Ethereum network, it makes it for a far more combative and challenging environment to be able to succeed. There's a competing network out there that's trying to do a similar concept and on Ethereum, and they've had a really hard time with growing adoption because of that. And so that was a design architecture that was made back in 2018, and it's leveraging the Cosmos framework, like Rick said, and the security of having your own sovereign chain. If you're able to get your own validator set and manage your own sovereignty, then you're able to maintain the consistency of the network. Yeah. Sorry.
And regulation. Do you worry about government regulation?
So
stuff like
the
that?
network itself, right, is a peer-to-peer network, Alex. You can opt in or not opt in to be an end user of the network or offer your bandwidth to the network. I'm not in control of it. I can't stop it. It's truly an open, permissionless network. So the Sentinel Network the government could come to me and I could say, well, I can't stop the network. It's an open source protocol that people are participating in. And so I think that as long as we're continuing to build open source and censorship resistant protocols, we are fighting back against having governments tell us exactly what we can't do. At the end of the day, it's open source code. It's free speech. If governments stop allowing people to write code because that is deemed illegal, then you're going to have other challenges. People are still going to write code even if it's illegal. Gold was outlawed for a long time, and you had to give your gold back to the government illegally. I'm sure there are plenty of people that decided not to give their gold back to the government. So you can't really stop people from writing open source code. And so I think it's pretty hard to shut down the network as long as the validators continue to validate the network.
Well said.
Yeah. Alex, but if we can, just to follow up on that, the governments have regulated against the BitTorrent network for file sharing. It's made no difference. BitTorrent file sharing is still there. Pirate Bay is still, it's banned in Britain. It's still there. You can still get.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
It's banned in Britain. Huh.
It's banned in Britain. ISPs will track you, and you're not allowed to go to that website. So what do? They just set up mirrors. You just go to a proxy website. But it's regulated. It's illegal. And people, making something illegal doesn't stop people doing it. Murder is illegal, but it's a decentralized activity, except when governments do it. They want the monopoly on that, right? So you can't regulate away something that's decentralized. And then I just want to say that about there's more to Sentinel than we've actually talked about. There really, really is. So I really invite people to go look into it. In terms of generating passive income through staking or through the profit share model or through providing bandwidth yourself. It's very, very well designed project. And I'm grateful to be connected to it many, many ways, because it's one of the better run projects that I've come across and encountered. And they have been building and building and building and building and building and building and developing a fabulous product. And I would recommend getting early, for people to check it out, do their due diligence, and get in early.
Absolutely. Dan, any final words or thoughts that you would want to share with our viewers before we sign off?
Thanks so much for having us on. Come follow us on, like I said, sentinel.co, or come follow me on Twitter. It's twitter.com/D4Es, DLE. But yeah, connect. Feel free to reach out. Happy to answer any questions. Like Rich said, there's a lot that's involved with this network, and we're happy to bring people along the education journey.
Absolutely, guys. I will put everything in the description box down below, how you can get in touch with Dan, with Sentinel, with Rich. All of it will be in the description box down below. Definitely check out Sentinel. We should do another show, maybe where we get into the staking and how people can make money and how people can really get active in the Sentinel network. So let's shoot for that sometime in the near future, because I think that's going to be very, very interesting. I'm interested to learn how I can get in on this. So let's do another show on the staking, like Rich said, and maybe get into some more advanced topics. Rich, thank you very much. As always, great to have you here. And of course, Dan Edlebeck from Exidio for Sentinel. Thank you very much, Dan. That was fantastic, guys. All the information, once again, will be in the description box down below. Take care, everybody.